Hi, I'm Judge Frank Caprio. I want to share a little about my life and how I came to be the judge I am today. I hope my journey resonates with you and maybe even inspires you. I was born on November 24th, 1936, in Providence, Rhode Island, in a neighborhood called Federal Hill. My parents, both Italian immigrants, came to America in search of a better life. My father, Antonio, worked as a fruit peddler. We didn't have much, but what we did have was love, a strong work ethic, and the kind of family values that you don't forget. I learned early on that respect for others, no matter their background, was one of the most important things you could carry with you. Growing up in Providence, things weren't always easy. My family lived modestly, but my parents always made sure we had what we needed. There were times when money was tight, but it never felt like we were poor, because we were rich in family and community. My mother, Maria, had a gift for making us feel special, no matter what struggles we faced. Her greatest lesson to me was, if you have 2 pennies, give 1 away. That lesson stuck with me, and it's a philosophy I've carried throughout my entire career. After high school, I went to Providence College, where I earned a degree in political science. It wasn't easy. I had to work part-time to make ends meet, but I never gave up on my dream of becoming a lawyer. From there, I went to Suffolk University Law School in Boston, working while I studied to support myself. It wasn't glamorous, but was my path, and I was determined to make it work. In 1965, I began practicing law. I quickly realized that the law wasn't just about statutes and rules, it was about people. I worked on a variety of cases, but I always tried to listen to the human side of the story. So much of the law is about finding fairness in the gray areas, the stories that don't fit neatly into the rule book. I always took that to heart, even when the cases weren't easy. In 1985, I had the honor of being appointed a judge in the Providence Municipal Court. From the moment I stepped into that courtroom, I knew I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to treat everyone who came before me with respect, no matter who they were. I wanted my courtroom to feel like a place where people could come and be heard, where they would be judged not just by the law, but by their circumstances and their humanity. One of the first cases I'll always remember involved a young woman who came into my court with a parking ticket. She was a single mother, and she told me that she couldn't afford to pay the ticket because she was struggling to keep a roof over her child's head. She was in tears, worried about the future. I could have just fined her like most judges would have, but I didn't. Instead, I asked her to come back to court with her child. The next week, she returned with her son, and I waived the fine. It wasn't about the money, it was about giving her a chance. She thanked me with tears in her eyes, and that's when I realized just how much small acts of kindness can mean to people. There are so many stories like that, moments that stand out not for the legal decisions I made, but for the way they touch people's lives. I had a man come into my court once who had been living in his car for weeks. He had a ticket for expired registration, but when he explained his situation, I could see that he wasn't a criminal. He was struggling, just trying to survive. Instead of fining him, I worked with him to find a way to get his car registered and back on the road. It wasn't about the law, it was about giving him a chance to get back on his feet. One of my most memorable moments came from a man who had been fined for a parking ticket. When he came into my court, he told me that he had been laid off from his job and didn't have the money to pay the fine. He was embarrassed and felt defeated. I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't trying to dodge responsibility. He was just in a difficult spot. Instead of simply dismissing the fine, I asked him about his life, his family, and his plans. After hearing his story, I told him that I wasn't going to fine him. I gave him a second chance, and he left my court with a new sense of hope. A few months later, I got a letter from that man. He'd found a new job, turned his life around, and was paying it forward by helping others who were struggling. He told me that my decision had made all the difference. That was one of the most rewarding moments of my career. These moments, these stories are why I became a judge. Yes, the law is important, but it's not everything. What's more important is recognizing the humanity in each person who walks into your courtroom. People make mistakes, and sometimes life throws things at you that are beyond your control. My job is not just to enforce the law, but to do so with fairness and compassion. That's the reason why Caught in Providence has resonated with so many people around the world. People have come to realize that justice doesn't have to be cold or detached. It can be human. It can be kind. It can make a real difference in people's lives. Beyond the courtroom, my family and community have always been a huge part of my life. My wife, Joyce, and I have been together for many years, and we have 5 children and several grandchildren. They keep me grounded and remind me of what truly matters: love, support, and compassion. I'm also involved in several community initiatives, from providing scholarships for students to helping out local charities. I believe that no matter how much success you have, it's always important to give back. Through all the awards and recognitions I've received, the thing that matters most to me is the impact I've had on people's lives. If I can help just one person see that there's always hope, that there's always a second chance, then I've done my job. In the end, that's what it's all about: making a positive difference in the lives of others. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, no matter where you're at in life, no matter what mistakes you've made, there's always room for kindness and a fresh start. Justice and compassion can and should go hand in hand, and above all, always treat others the way you'd want to be treated.